thanks for stopping by. This is another update of the off-season repair of my 1985 Endeavour 35 Gypsy Soul. First and foremost, I want to apologize for the shakiness here. I'm not really sure if it was the table or the stand. I'm not quite sure, but anyway, it settles down. And this week, the first project I wanted to work on was some fairing work on the aft end of the boat, on the hull. And I'm using a product here called Total Fair, which is made by Jamestown Distributors. I really like this product because it's simple, and I'm not a professional by any means. I'm just an amateur DIY guy, and so I like simple products that are easy for me to understand and use, and I like this product. It's 50-50 mix, mix blue, mix yellow, that makes green, and so once you get a nice smooth green, you're ready to go. Here you can see I'm estimating 50% of each, and then I'll mix it in this container. I probably could have had a better container for this, but this was the only thing I could find in the workshop, and so I just went with it, and it ended up being okay. So you can see the consistency is pretty smooth. It's almost like Play-Doh, and the more you work it, the smoother it gets, and it warms up a little bit. Overall, I think it was a really nice product. I guess we'll see the final result after I finish sanding it before I offer a final comment. So this is the area I'm going to be fairing out. This was an area that I actually repaired last season when I had the hull soda blasted and let it dry out, and then I went to work on the hull, eventually adding 3 coats of epoxy barrier coat and then 2 coats of paint. This rear area here had some dimples in the fiberglass, and I believe they were part of an earlier repair, and so I epoxied those in with straight epoxy, but I didn't fully fair it out. I think I just got a little bit lazy, and so I'm going back this season now after sanding it down and exposing those areas that are actually structurally repaired but just unsightly from the dimple perspective. So I wanted to come back in this year and just fair it out and sand it down. So here you can see it's pretty smooth, pretty easy to work with. I'm building it up a pretty good thickness, again exceeding the area that I'm trying to repair, just so that when I come back again this week and sand it down with a nice long sanding block, I'll have plenty to work with and hopefully get a nice faired hull. I'm not a racer by any means, and it's just a cruising boat, but I think it's just pride in work and pride in your boat, and so that's why I'm doing it this year. So again, pretty smooth, pretty easy to work with. Nice product. I'm impressed. This week we'll sand it down. And here you have the final product, or final result of stage 1. And you can see I've put it on pretty heavy. And the intent then is to sand it down and fair it in with the rest of the hull. So when I get down to the boat this week, I'll see the result of the hardening, and then we'll get to sanding. And I'll film that for you as well. Okay, up to the top of the boat to kind of give you an update on where we are with the topsides and the decks. Obviously still a lot of work going on. One thing that's kind of interesting this week is that the boat looks like it's been attacked by fiberglass worms. They are literally everywhere. Of course, what they represent is the painstaking effort to ground out every single spider crack and stress crack and imperfection in the hull, or excuse me, in the top sides and the decks in the fiberglass. And if you don't do this, if you don't ground it out and create a nice channel, and you just simply paint over it or just try to fill it out then you're just going to re-expose those cracks within a short amount of time. So if you want to do this right, you've got to spend the time, I think, to ground all these out, and it's a lot of time, a lot of effort. So these have all been ground out, and they're creating little channels, and then what comes here afterwards is then filling each and every one of these channels in with epoxy, and then sanding that down smooth with the rest of the deck before paint. Of course, this will all disappear underneath the paint and hopefully give a nice finish for many years to come. Here you can see where the teak cleat was, and of course the cabin top winch. And then the rest of the deck. Again, pretty unsightly, but this is what happens with 31-year-old fiberglass. So that's pretty much it, and hopefully this week most of these have been filled in with fiberglass, or excuse me, with epoxy, and sanded down smooth, and I think we're getting pretty close to paint, which is going to be a nice halfway mark, and then start putting the boat back together again. So thanks for stopping by. Swing by next week. I've got a lot of things happening, and we'll provide another update.